What did Soviet soldiers do with German women? In the aftermath of World War II, a shocking and complex story unfolded as Soviet soldiers encountered German women. What really happened during this turbulent time? Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into a dark chapter of history that many would prefer to forget. As World War II drew to a close in 1945, the defeat of Nazi Germany marked not just the end of a global conflict, but the beginning of a chaotic and tumultuous period in Europe. Among the most harrowing and complex narratives emerging from this time are the experiences of German women who found themselves in the path of Soviet soldiers. This chapter of history is marked by a mixture of trauma, survival, and resilience, revealing the harsh realities of war and its aftermath. Understanding these interactions sheds light on the enduring impacts of conflicts on individual lives and collective memory. The context of time. To fully understand the interactions between Soviet soldiers and German women, it's essential to consider the broader historical context. The Eastern Front bore witness to some of the most brutal fighting of the war, with millions of casualties on both sides. As they advanced into Germany, the Red Army was driven by a desire for retribution against the atrocities committed by the Nazis, particularly during the invasion of the Soviet Union. This backdrop of violence and loss colored the soldiers' perceptions and actions as they encountered German territories, creating a volatile environment ripe for exploitation. The end of the war brought immense upheaval, with cities in ruins and millions of displaced persons wandering through the wreckage. German women in particular faced dire circumstances. Many had lost their husbands, fathers, or brothers in the conflict, leaving them vulnerable and often alone. The societal fabric was torn and traditional gender roles were disrupted, as women found themselves not only caretakers but also providers and protectors in a desperate bid for survival. As the Soviet army occupied German territories, these women navigated a perilous landscape where safety was a fleeting concept. The experiences of German women. The experiences of German women during this time were varied and complex, revealing the myriad ways individuals cope with trauma. For some, encounters with Soviet soldiers resulted in sexual violence and assault, with estimates suggesting that hundreds of thousands of women were raped during the Soviet occupation. These horrific acts were not merely random, but often seen as a brutal assertion of power and revenge against the German populace, reflecting the deep-seated animosities of the war. Many women, understanding the perilous situation, attempted to hide or escape. Some sought refuge in basements or fled to the countryside, while others tried to find protection from family members or friends. However, the sheer scale of the occupation made such escapes increasingly difficult. The brutality of war stripped away many societal and moral norms, resulting in a landscape where survival instincts often took precedence over societal expectations. In this chaotic environment, women were forced to make unimaginable choices, navigating a world where their safety and dignity were constantly at risk. The psychological impact. The psychological impact of these experiences on German women was profound and long-lasting, leaving scars that would persist for generations. Many survivors faced stigma and shame, complicating their ability to process and heal from the trauma they endured. In post-war Germany, discussions about sexual violence were largely taboo, and victims often remained silent about their experiences. This silence perpetuated a cycle of trauma as women grappled with feelings of isolation and despair, struggling to find a voice in a society that preferred to overlook their suffering. The trauma experienced by these women extended beyond the immediate effects of violence. It also influenced their interactions with families and communities. The narratives surrounding these women were often overshadowed by broader themes of victimhood and guilt associated with the war. Many women who suffered the most were marginalized in post-war discourse as society struggled to reconcile the collective guilt of the German population with the individual experiences of its women. This dynamic created an environment in which healing was not only personal, but also deeply intertwined with societal attitudes towards the war and its aftermath. The complex relationship with Soviet soldiers. While many interactions between Soviet soldiers and German women were characterized by violence and coercion, there were also instances of complex relationships forming. Some women found themselves drawn into relationships with soldiers, driven by a mix of survival, desperation, and sometimes even affection. These relationships could serve as a means of protection or economic stability in a chaotic world, providing a semblance of normalcy amid the chaos surrounding them. In some cases, soldiers who had endured the horrors of war formed genuine emotional connections with German women. These relationships were fraught with complications, often defying the prevailing sentiments of revenge and hatred that characterized the post-war atmosphere. For many soldiers, engaging with German women was just a means of reclaiming some semblance of humanity amid the horrors they had witnessed and perpetrated. This complexity reveals the multifaceted nature of human relationships in times of crisis, where love, trauma, and survival can intertwine in unexpected ways. The aftermath and legacy. As Europe rebuilt itself in the years following the war, the experiences of German women remained largely unacknowledged in public discourse. The focus on rebuilding and reconciliation often overlooked the trauma that had lingered beneath the surface. Women who had suffered during the occupation faced an uphill battle in seeking recognition for their experiences and finding a place within the narrative of post-war Germany. The need for healing and acknowledgement was overshadowed by the urgent demands of reconstruction and societal cohesion. Over the decades, some scholars and historians have worked to bring these stories to light, emphasizing the importance of understanding the multifaceted experiences of women during this period. Documentaries, literature, and academic studies have sought to provide a more nuanced perspective on the interactions between Soviet soldiers and German women, revealing the complexities of trauma, power, and survival. Conclusion. The encounters between Soviet soldiers and German women during the aftermath of World War II stand as a powerful testament to the broader themes of war and its impact on human lives. These interactions were shaped by a confluence of factors, historical, social, and psychological, that rendered the experiences of women during this time both unique and universal. By exploring these narratives, we gain a deeper understanding of how war reshapes not only territories and governments, but also the very fabric of human relationships. As we reflect on this chapter in history, it is crucial to acknowledge the resilience of those who lived through it and to ensure that their stories are not forgotten. The legacy of their experiences continue to inform our understanding of trauma, survival, and the complexities of human interactions in times of crisis. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a complex and often overlooked chapter of history. If you found this exploration meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue to remember and learn from the past together.